Well, hello again, race fans, and welcome. It's race number 11 of 12 of season 13. We're getting to the end of the season for the US IndyCar League. It's another great day of fun and excitement here at the virtual Kansas Speedway, Kansas City, Kansas. Great mile-and-a-half oval, and so great to see all these virtual fans turning up for the US IndyCar League's Cars and Stars, and we'll be going down live trackside here in just a moment, getting you in for some of this qualifying action. Of course, my name is Trevor Greenfield, and I'll be with you all day. We'll finish up season 13 together for sure and see who takes this championship. But for the moment, it is race number 11, and to race first, you must qualify. So let's go ahead and send it down to our track side cameras, and we'll pick up the action in just a moment. Here it is, 10-mile-an-hour wind. That could be a factor today. 73 degrees in the air, but 116 degrees on the track, and it's getting warmer as we go on. That could pose an issue for tire degradation, but not so much right now as we get qualifying out on the track. So let's take a look at where the drivers are stacking up. It's Graham Bunyan, who so far has taken the pole position. And not too many drivers waiting for us to get the cameras focused on them as they complete their qualifying laps. Here's Ryan Bowles, who's now out there on the track and trying to make his qualifying effort for today's race. Once again, so great to have you with us here live on VirtualRacing.Network, as we have been with you since season 10. And Bowles able to go 6th fastest there. You can see how close the top of the order is. Now, some stuff to talk about for today's race as well, as we watch another one of the favorites head out on the track. That's David Strid there. Now, despite how the cameras may show it, in fact, the cars are not on the track together. That would not be fair because of drafting and such for teammates to work together. And so, in fact, the drivers do head out. Of course, these are they head out for individual qualifying efforts, so they would not see each other on the track, nor would they benefit from any sort of draft or anything. David Strid there coming in so far on his first lap, quite a ways off of pole position, but as always, we will check and see what happens as we get his second lap in, usually the faster of the two. And Strid brings it down onto the apron for his second qualifying effort, and that's going to be good enough to put him up on the pole. So there you saw it live right here at VirtualRacing.Network. Perhaps David Strid picking up that pole position. Also, if you notice, in third place there, great run from Mr. StickQuik, Richard Kelbaugh, putting in a third best time, just 6/100ths of a second off of Strid's now pole position time. So we look to see if anyone else is going to take to the track. Now, in practice, we actually did see Danny Alt make it out there and put some good laps together. He was actually quite fast in the practice. Another driver who is in the field and has qualified, as you can see there, is Rick Lovison, currently shown going to be starting in 8th place. We haven't seen him for quite a few weeks. I think taking care of some personal business, but great to have Rick back in the field. Podium finisher not that long ago, and always a great contender in the series. So we wait for this one to go official, which it will soon, and it does not look like we're going to get a time from Iñigo Mardones, Danny Alt, or Manuel Gomez Esteban. Now, as has been typical, Danny Alt may not actually take the green flag, but we'll watch for that. The others likely to just start from the back, as it's easier for them to do so. So let's go ahead and take a look at our final qualifying results here on the screen. As you can see, it is in fact David Strid who takes that pole position. no real surprise there. The speedy driver from Australia getting yet another pole position. Will he convert into a race win today? That is the question. And it won't matter too much towards the championship, but we'll talk about that in just a second. Graham Bunyan, your series defending champion and current points leader, and champion yet to be crowned for this season, but still we await a couple more races before we can get to that. Graham Bunyan going to be starting in second, teammates to David Strid there. Richard Kelbaugh with a fantastic third qualifying spot effort. Something that, again, he's been focusing on getting faster and faster each and every week, and this is just more proof of that you can do it. So definitely Richard Kelbaugh with a great starting position. Will he be able to convert it into his first podium position of this season? Stay tuned to find out. Jason Lowe, series favorite, right there in fourth. He was a championship favorite for quite a while, but some mistakes have cost him. Will he be able to come back here in Kansas and reclaim some of that lost magic that he's had at other points of the season and in other seasons? There's another question for you as well as we wait for these drivers to actually grid up. And we are not yet seeing them out there on the track. So we will wait for that to happen. And does appear now we are getting them on the track. There we go. We got them all gridded up. David Strid finally making his entrance, and the drivers just about to head on out there. So the rest of the starting lineup: Mauro Ramirez, rookie in the league this season, starting alongside veteran Howard Livingston, racing for carecamps.org. Coconut Castaways. Then you've got Ryan Bowles and Rick Lovison going to be starting next to each other. Dan Ensch, Mike West starting on row 5, and then row 6, Mardones and Esteban, and then Danny Alt all alone back there. But it does not look like he will take to the track as well. We've got to get that guy out there. Danny, if you're listening, you just got to do some of these races. You've done some practices, but one of the things to watch out for today, as we get set for today's action and get all of our timing and scoring all set to go here, one thing to keep in mind is that most of these drivers have actually really struggled in their practices to get into pit lane. We'll just have a moment here to look at the current points. You see Bunyan actually probably the champion here in season 13. We'll wait for that to be officially crowned, and it doesn't really look like too many drivers in the top 3 are going to be challenging for those top couple of positions, but there's still some points to be had, and we are underway here with David Strid leading us to the green flag. So Strid there in the lead, already opening up a small gap over his teammate Graham Bunyan, but he probably will not be able to escape, as these cars will hold that draft pretty well through most of this race. Now that 116-degree temperature Fahrenheit, as we'll pull that up momentarily and see if it continues to go up, but at the moment it is holding steady to 119, and we will see whether that becomes a factor as these drivers maybe a little bit further back now starting to jockey for position. We've got Howard Livingston and Richard Kelbaugh fighting for that 4th spot, as Kelbaugh has slid back, and now Jason Lowe is up into the 3rd spot. So Lowe already gaining a spot here today, and Livingston up a spot as well. Kelbaugh drifting back 1 spot from his starting position there in 3rd, and Mauro Ramirez also losing a spot on that start. But of course, here's Mauro, and he hasn't drifted too far back yet. He's still pretty darn close. That's how far it is. You can see from Mauro's onboard camera. There's David Strid up in front, Graham Bunyan just behind in that bright, I want to call it pink, but I think it's fuchsia car of Lowe. And then there on the outside, that's Ryan Bowles going by in the 25 car. Bowles now looking on the outside of Howard Livingston as well. He's going to try to take that spot. So a lot of movement early on for the mid-pack runners. Here comes Ryan Bowles around the outside. He gets that pass done. Move him up to the 5th spot. Looking just ahead, we've got Graham Bunyan now up onto the rear wing of David Strid. And you can see how close that field is getting. It is absolutely separated by just a couple of car lengths from first all the way back to about 6th place. So here goes Bowles on the high side around Jason Lowe. So mark him to 3rd spot. That's Ryan Bowles now up to 3rd spot. 4 spots gained already today. Could today be another Ryan Bowles day? It's been a couple of weeks, but he has been known for his speed in the past and his ability to get it done on the track. We're now seeing that perhaps Howard Livingston having some connection issues, possibly sliding through the field. We will keep an eye on that. In the meantime, it is Strid here on lap 8, soon to be lap 9, who continues to lead over his countryman and teammate Graham Bunyan just behind, and then Ryan Bowles, his also teammate, just behind. How many teammates in the field does Graham Bunyan have? Well, he's got, I think, 4. I guess you can't count Danny Alt, who is not in the race at the moment, but he would be a 5th teammate. But I think they're all just kind of friends and they work together. I don't know if they necessarily call themselves teammates. Howard Livingston, unfortunately, kind of bouncing around in the connections, and that might show him blinking up onto the screen, as he's been known to do for some of the other drivers, but possibly having some connection issues down there in Florida. But fellow Floridian Jason Lowe not having those issues and running around in 4th spot here at Kansas. Now starting on lap 11 as Strid continues to lead. Graham Bunyan, Ryan Bowles, and Jason Lowe, with Rick Kelbaugh hanging on there in 5th place. The Team StickQuik.com car holding on well, putting on a show, and that's exactly what I think the series wants to see, is some of the drivers that really want to improve and want to get out there and make a challenge. You hear Mr. StickQuik making a little bit of a move there on Jason Lowe, 3-time champion Jason Lowe. We'll see whether or not he's got what it takes to make that pass happen. Keeping an eye on this battle as the other drivers still holding position in mid-pack. We take a look a little bit further back. There's Dan Ensch racing for ALZ.org. That's the Alzheimer's Association. Had a great race a few races ago where we got a chance to talk a little bit more about that organization, but he's running in 6th place. He said he's got some issues that he's racing with today. He had a small slip, and as a result, very icy conditions back where Dan is, and had a small slip and caused all kinds of problems with his knees. And so he is definitely racing under the weather and a bit got a bit of a impediment today to deal with. But sometimes they say you race at your best when you've got some obstacles to overcome. We'll see whether or not Dan can get that top 5. He's racing in 6th place right now, up 3 spots so far. Here now we take a look at Iñigo Mardones racing in 7th spot, racing for the Necky Racing team. Spaniard is always a threat here to come away with a podium finish or a possible victory, as you see Dan Ensch possibly having an issue sliding back a little bit. And Mardones able to get that pass done. So now this is a bit of a group that's formed. See if we can take a look from our blimp cam here provided by StickQuik. Of course, each and every round here presented by StickQuik, this being the Kansas 190 presented by StickQuik. And that's StickQuik.com. We will be talking about that. Oh, you better believe it, coming up soon. Nevertheless, looking at it from overhead, this group here, we're now seeing Iñigo Mardones kind of disappearing off the front of this group, but trying to track down Richard Kelbaugh and see if he can get maybe a little bit of that draft and catch back up to that lead group. But nevertheless, there it is, just separated by about a second on track. And in the meantime, we look back up in front, and it is in fact Graham Bunyan who has gotten by in the number 101 car, has gotten by David Strid there for first place. Not a surprise, probably just giving David a little bit of a breather and letting him save a little bit of fuel running behind, as all these drivers continue to make their adjustments for this heat. And we'll take a look one more time. There it is. In fact, it's up to 119 degrees on the track. Now, that's not as hot as we saw a couple of weeks ago in Hotlanta, where it was over 130. But nevertheless, on a little mile and a halfer like this track, doesn't quite have the high banks of Atlanta. That is going to prove to be potentially even more tire degradation on these tires. So as we now are working on lap 20, we should start to see some of these drivers starting to fall off shortly. And you start to see the cars spread out a little bit. That's, I think, what we're talking about. Just that little bit of separation you're going to start to see each and every lap. As you can see there in the back, it's Ryan Bowles, who just had a moment here. We'll go back to his camera on board with Ryan. Perhaps he's done some damage to that car. Still appears, it sounds okay, but he definitely got up into that wall just a moment ago. And does not appear to have any sort of visual damage. So we put our very best cameraman, who has a laser smooth focusing ability and following ability. Yes, in fact, I don't see any real damage on that car, so he continues on. And in the meantime, sad news for Howard Livingston fans. It does appear as though the carecamps.org machine is now well off the pace. Might have had some connection issues and is now headed back out onto the track. He's lost about 12 laps. So we'll see what he can manage in the points. And of course, today is kind of an important day for those points, as we've got just 2 races remaining, including this one. And next week will be, and you won't want to miss that one, so mark your calendars for certain. It will be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and a very special race for sure that we are looking forward to. Graham Bunyan continuing here on lap 25 to his way to his 3rd straight championship, and leading in dominant form, with fellow countryman David Strid sharing a little bit of the responsibilities at the front of this field, executing like championship leaders would. There's Strid running in second, but not far behind there is Jason Lowe, the series administrator and frequent front runner in the series. Unfortunately, not quite in closing distance to be able to make a move on these top 2 drivers, but we'll be adjusting and adjusting and adjusting and going up on that weight tracker just a little bit, and then it gets a little loose, so you got to bring it back down. And well, can I adjust the ARBs? What can I do to stay up with these 2 Australian speed machines? It's always tricky to figure out, but 1 second is now the gap, as Bunyan and Strid leading low here at Kansas Speedway. So we look on here as we see the top two inching their way out on Jason Lowe, who continues to run in third. Lowe and Bunyan, of course, gaining a spot on that start. And then here is Richard Kelbaugh, who's actually still running in fourth. I think with Livingston dropping down and Bulls having that issue, Bulls now, take a look over there and see, is Bulls now having an issue? Go on board with Bulls. He's running the high line. Perhaps suffering a little bit of loss of downforce and not able to quite hold the same pace that he did before. You know, if I got to be honest, I'm also, as many of you know, I do sometimes dabble in the iRacing IndyCars, and that is probably my single biggest issue that I make when I race IndyCars. My single biggest mistake is I touch the wall on the outside. Sometimes I get a little too aggressive on my radius when I'm trying to turn into the corner. Sometimes the car just wants to wash out mid-corner, and it's difficult to keep the car. It's a lot more difficult to keep the car off the wall than I think you could possibly imagine if you've never driven one of these machines. But it just, once again, that kind of stuff just really gives you an appreciation for the things that Graham Bunyan and David Strid, Jason Lowe, all these drivers manage to do each and every week, is keep that car off of the wall. And it seems so simple to do, you know, just don't go hit the wall. But when you're trying to maximize this race car around the racetrack, you know, you're trying to maximize the racing line. So you swing out wide. You maybe, if you're going to try to run the high side, maybe the high side means you can run really high up towards the wall, or perhaps it means you run in the second groove, but then you've got to watch the car when it's mid-corner, make sure that it doesn't, as Graham Bunyan now pulling into the pits, will he make it? We saw so many drivers having this issue getting into the pit safely in practice, but Bunyan looks like he is able to get it on the pit road safely. There, that 56 miles per hour, 55 miles per hour, trying not to exceed that pit speed limit. So crucial. And then, of course, to get stopped on the marks perfectly, incredibly important. And then David Strid now in the pits. He had temporarily taken over the lead, as well as Iñigo Mardones. Richard Kelbaugh now exiting the pits. And he's just in front of my fellow Washingtonian, Mike West. West actually a race winner in this league, but those results being very hard to come by, few and far between. So now we catch Jason Lowe here on pit lane. He makes his way down this very long pit lane. See there in the background. So great to have you with us here on VirtualRacing.Network. Hope you're enjoying this one as much as we are. And we now catch Jason Lowe as he leaves the pits. Rick Lovison did not take over the lead, but he pitted as well. Dan Ensch now in the pits, and Manuel Gomez Esteban also in the pits. So Lowe just now getting overtaken, as you can see there on the track, by Graham Bunyan and David Strid. So Bunyan now drifting up the track a little bit. And these two have managed to pull out a close to a second with that pit stop exchange over Jason Lowe. So Lowe now is going to be probably pretty desperate on these new tires to try to catch the back end of Strid and catch that draft once again. We will certainly keep an eye on that. And now we see Bunyan and Strid working together to swap the draft and perhaps continue to break that draft back to Jason Lowe. You've got to watch that gap time, as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen in the tower there, so crucial. as they tried to break away from Jason Lowe, but Lowe just managing to clip into that lead ever so much. It's a question as to whether Lowe can get it together and make the right adjustments and somehow manage to clip into that lead, and he is doing so. He's managed to catch 0.2, now make it close to 0.3 of a second on David Strid, and I think they were trying to swap draft there for a time period, thinking that might break them away, but it does not appear to be doing so. So question is, how much wear and tear is Jason Lowe putting on those fresh new Firestone Firehawks that he just got on pit road? We don't know, and we won't know until the end of the stint, but for sure Bunyan and Strid would have been saving their tires as well. If you take a look, though, at who is one of the biggest climbers in the field, it's Mike West here, racing with Richard Kelbaugh and Iñigo Mardones. Mike West up 6 spots into that 4th position. And look at Richard Kelbaugh trying to make a move to get that 4th place back from Mike West. Now, oddly enough, these two only geographically separated, these front two, by just probably a couple hundred miles, if that. Maybe only, yeah, I guess about a couple hundred miles, as Richard is over in Idaho and Mike is in pretty much central Washington. But the driver racing just behind, of course, Iñigo Mardones from Barcelona, Spain. So on a totally different continent, and of course here he is on VirtualRacing.Network challenging these drivers here for 4th place. And isn't it a wonderful day to be alive and an IndyCar fan? Get to see this kind of action virtually happening with some of the best IndyCar racers on iRacing. So these drivers now continuing here, lap 44. It's still Bunyan, Strid, and Lowe at the front. But you see this race happening for 4th place. It's Mr. StickQuik, Richard Kelbaugh there in 4th place. He's managed to hold down that spot, take it away from Mike West. And he's got that Team StickQuik.com, the Lara IR18 car, absolutely firing on all cylinders. But he is going to have his work cut out for him if he's going to catch that lead group of 3. So the last car in that group, of course, being Jason Lowe. But he is going to have to really work hard to chip into that gap, as it's now over 4 seconds. Nevertheless, this race for 4th and 5th place is extremely valuable in the points, and certainly this is one of Richard's best runs of the season. Looking so good after all those health issues that he had. I'm sure he's still suffering with some of those health issues, but he's looking like he's in top form here today, and that is always great news. Unfortunately, we do have some other bad news, and that is we did have a problem with Mauro Ramirez, who's now slipped back a couple of laps, and Dan Ensch also suffering an issue, dropping back a couple of laps here. Now those two running in 10th and 11th place, and you can see, in fact, you can see that I was asleep looking at this battle, because now if we look back at the front, it is in fact David Strid and Graham Bunyan. Oh no, that hasn't changed. But there's all of a sudden a fuchsia car in the mix. That is Jason Lowe, 3 times champion, and he's come back to try to make a challenge as they try to pass the lap car of Dan Ensch, and now Lowe goes around the outside of Graham Bunyan. So, champion of a couple of seasons ago around the current defending champion Graham Bunyan, and Bunyan, of course, kind of in cruise mode today. I think he's got this championship locked up now. I think it's just a matter of showing up for the remaining races, but Lowe's got something to prove, and that is that he has not forgotten how to win. It's been a while since we've seen Lowe in victory lane, but it could happen any week, and this week it's looking pretty good. So Lowe is, you know, one of those drivers in the field, though, that you've got to... He's got to keep, as he's pushing ahead here, going side by side with David Stritt, and now taking the lead here in round 11. The Kansas 190 presented by StickQuik, and it's Jason Lowe, the American, to the lead. Will he lead this lap officially and get the bonus point for that? I think he will, as Stritt has now fallen back a little bit. So Jason Lowe to the lead here on lap 52, gaining 3 spots so far today, and he isn't done yet, although there's no more spots to gain, but he's not done with this race. He's going to try to put this one away, and he's got quite a ways to do it. So 75 laps still to go here, and anything can happen. Of course, no yellow flags thus far. Totally green running. And that is what the US IndyCar League has become known for, is its very close racing, but still very clean racing from its veteran racers who definitely try to give that extra little inch of room as much as they can to the other guy, just to make sure that they don't have that contact. They've done a great job of keeping these races mostly caution-free. And speaking of which, if you're watching this and you enjoy IndyCar action, you enjoy the broadcasts that we're doing here on VirtualRacing.Network, you might as well hit that big red button there and subscribe. And of course, hey, it's awesome to have Pablo Diaz-Francis join us this morning. Great racer who's dominating in Indy Fix Series. He's now part of the Elite Indy Elite Series. You can catch that on Sunday nights as well. And of course, Dan Ensch racing in that series. Although I don't know tonight, because potentially those health issues may keep him away. But nevertheless, Flynn Lazier, one of my teammates at Last Lap Motorsports, making frequent appearances there as well. But yeah, great to have Pablo join us. It was so cool to get to cover Pablo in the races on VirtualRacing.Network in the Indy Fix Series last season. So definitely make sure to check that out, and you'll get to check out the Indy Elite Series tonight as well. You get a chance to see some of these same drivers. Also, we have a couple of other chatters that we're not paying attention to our chat room, and so thank you, Majek, for showing up and letting us know that you're rooting for Mauro Ramirez. So awesome to have you here in the chat room with us. And also Will Stearns joining us. Hey, Will, we got to get you out there on the track, buddy. It's been too long just seeing you a couple of races this season, and you're such a great competitor, regular veteran. But all these guys hanging out over in the chat room. Come and say hi if you're watching from somewhere else, and let us know who you're rooting for. Again, please make sure you subscribe down there, the big red button, and click that bell, and that will give you all the notifications of our upcoming races. Of course, you can also like the video, but I'll stop with the self-promotion now. It's always fun to run these broadcasts. Back to the game at hand, 60 laps into this one. We're not quite halfway. It's round 11 of the US IndyCar League Season 13. The Kansas 190 presented by StickQuik, and we've had a surprise leader here come forward. It is Jason Lowe, racing for the Team Rescue Ranch. And his Pride of Florida, we'll call it, the Spirit of Florida machine. But it looks good with the yellow flame stripes on there, and imagine Lowe kind of racing with a similar livery possibly when he was out there doing the dirt track stuff. But not today. He's out there on the virtual asphalt in Kansas. mile-and-a-half oval, and he has been executing at top form, able to track down from over a second back David Strid and Graham Bunyan. And now these two perhaps trying to feel safe just a little bit. Not quite sure, but trying to stay up with Jason Lowe, as Lowe has managed to work those adjustments in the cockpit to his great advantage. And last pit stop was on lap 35 for Jason Lowe. He was the last one to pit, so he does have the best fuel situation. Perhaps had an extra lap or two to give away, and so running at the front of the field, he will burn more fuel. And perhaps that's all being calculated in their minds by both Jason and these two, David Strid and Graham Bunyan. Because, hey, let's face it, you know, it's not like Strid and Bunyan are sitting there saying, oh, well, we'll just let Jason Lowe just come cruising on through here. It's definitely been discussed and assessed by these two drivers how they would handle that threat of Lowe coming through the two drivers here and getting up to the lead. Perhaps the goal is to let him lead a little bit, wear out his tires, use up a little extra fuel. Or, you know, I could be completely wrong, and these drivers might be looking at Lowe and saying, I can't keep up with this guy. He's too fast today. That is what we will find out when the next round of pit stops happen, and we can see who's got the magic still in the tank when everything comes back together. But now we've got Richard Kelbaugh making his way down onto pit lane. A little bit early of a pit, but perhaps that is, again, from leading so many of the laps in the little group that he was in. Ryan Bowles now pitting from 9th position. And that will actually move Rick Lovison, racing that beautiful four-color livery, the Berkshire Lakeside Lodge there. A little tough to see with the sun, but what a gorgeous paint job they pulled off with that. As somebody who's just putting together a livery at the moment, we'll go back and take a look at the live picture here with Jason Lowe, who's in the lead, as Graham Bunyan is actually now into the pits. So that is some interesting news, because that will split up he and David Strid. And now Lowe makes his way into the pits just behind Manuel Gomez Esteban there on the outside. And Lowe with a very late entry there to the pits, but it does look like he got stopped in time. That's been another mistake that has cost not only Lowe, but some of these other drivers. Is it's not just getting onto pit road safely, but it's also making sure that you get to that speed limiter safely and do not exceed that very slow speed on pit road. We'll watch live as Iñigo Racing driver Iñigo Mardones makes his way onto pit road. You see how difficult it is to get down to this very slow speed. You can imagine after doing close to 200 miles an hour here, coming down to 55 miles per hour is it's like you're walking your bicycle. So difficult to stay at that kind of speed. But Mardones receiving service here, and that will of course give over the lead now to Jason Lowe. Or will it? There's Graham Bunyan and Jason Lowe. Bunyan able to get back out there a little bit faster and take over 220 miles per hour through the corner, and he will resume in the lead as Jason Lowe now slides back to second, and David Strid is now just a few car lengths back in third. Meanwhile, Mike West also improving dramatically with that round of pit stops. He's now up into fourth. He's taken that spot away from Richard Kelbaugh and Iñigo Mardones, but currently the solo driver there in fourth. So he's managed to pull out quite a gap with that round of pit stops. Iñigo Mardones up 6 spots, same amount as Mike West for the day so far. Having an impressive run here and a top 5 potential. You know, I feel like we say it every week. This is one of these guys that he could be top 5. He could be a podium finisher. He's had the speed to do it. He's had the car to do it. Just hasn't been able to put it quite all together. But very likely could end up there very shortly. So we will watch out for that one. And Richard Kelbaugh now, Mr. StickQuik, trying to stay with Iñigo Mardones, trying to stay up there and possibly get back to Mike West, but racing for Team StickQuik here, teamstickquick.com. It's Kelbaugh who is holding down 6th spot. He's going to see if he can try to make the most of the end of this race. And it looks like he is slowly starting to creep up on the back of that Necky Racing driver. Let's go on board the StickQuik machine. He makes his way around this Kansas Oval. Beautiful facility, not currently seeing IndyCar use here, but could definitely be added back onto the calendar. And I think a lot of drivers might enjoy that, as this is one of the tracks that they can run on that's approved. But sadly, oval racing kind of becoming more and more seemingly the lost art of IndyCar as less tracks are available. Let's not even talk about what they're going to do to my poor California Speedway, Fontana. But nevertheless, I guess new ovals popping up all over the place, sometimes building them inside of old stadiums, as we just saw with the LA Coliseum for NASCAR. Not gonna lie, I'd love to see IndyCars go ripping around there, but a small, flat, short track, maybe not the best overall place for IndyCars to be racing at. Come up with a few examples like Chicago Motor Speedway a couple of years ago. Honestly, Milwaukee is not that far off of it, and that's a great track. But unfortunately, we need to get them back to Milwaukee too. But nevertheless, Kansas providing a great home for IndyCars here virtually, and able to see some great action here on the track today. Unfortunately, not a lot of room to get around if you're one of these drivers, and not really any place to run off and hide if you are able to get around and get up to the front. So take a look back. We did have a note here just a moment ago with Mauro Ramirez having an off track. What's this? Oh, he smacks the wall on the outside, sends him across the track and across this very, very big grassy patch between the track and the pit lane. And unfortunately, that will earn him a unsafe pit entry, and he will resume having to fulfill that penalty that he will be assessed. So Mauro's day, unfortunately, going from bad to worse, but so far, you know, Mauro with a good starting spot, and he's had some really good pace here in the US IndyCar League, and that has been excellent to watch over this season and see his development. So absolutely, Mad Jack letting us know that, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly in the chat room, that you're part of the same team. And so, of course, we'd love to get your team name in there. Just make sure to supply us with any of that information. If you are a driver and you want that information to be provided, if you do not, it's almost impossible to get it into the SDK driver info app correctly so that it shows up correctly on all the broadcasts. So just feel free to send it to us. We'll make sure we get it into our driver overrides that we have on this side, and get everybody the credit that they deserve out there on the track. Of course, these drivers, Graham Bunyan and David Strid, shown in first and third spot here, along with Mike West, a number of others, just kind of unofficial teammates. They don't really have a team name, and you know, just kind of friends racing, I guess. But number of other drivers actually racing for teams that are, you know, official teams. They have official sponsors and the like. So we want to make sure we get all of that kind of credit where it is due. So continuing on here, lap 85, about 3/4 of the way through this one, getting close to 3/4 of the way through this one. Graham Bunyan continuing to lead here, took over the lead very early on from David Strid. They've been kind of trading the lead back and forth, but Jason Lowe has come forward 2 spots from where he started and made this a race for us. And certainly not going to give Graham Bunyan or David Strid an easy victory today. So we continue to watch that battle. Meanwhile, this is the race once again for 4th place. Mike West, Iñigo Mardones, and Richard Kelbaugh. Kelbaugh just out of the picture there, but fighting with Manuel Gomez Esteban, who is a lap down. And Kelbaugh trying to, I guess, use that draft of Gomez Esteban to try to get himself back up there to the front. Nevertheless, running in 6th place, and he's lost 3 spots, but if he were to finish in 6th, that'd be a pretty good result for Richard for today. But I think that top 5 is the eventual goal. We take a look a little bit further down at 7th place. Rick Lovison, once again, coming back after some weeks off and showing off that beautiful car. Not quite having the day here in Kansas I think he'd really love to have, but nevertheless, it's always good to get behind the wheel again. Here's Ryan Bowles. He was having a great race, very similar to Jason Lowe, getting up there towards the front. We've seen him do this in so many races, honestly, where he has this early pace and looks like the formidable contender. He really looks like the driver that has won a couple of races here in the league. But so often he will make a mistake somewhere part into that tear that he starts to make towards the front, and it will unfortunately take him out of that lead. But consistency aside, we look forward to seeing that day when Ryan manages to hold it up there at the front and give us a new challenger for that lead. And indeed, talking about, you know, possibly getting some more participation here, absolutely, 13 shown in the field today. We'd love to see more out there as well. It's, I mean, myself, I would think it's a great time to be out there racing. It's kind of convenient for me, to be honest with you. If I wasn't introduced to this league to broadcast it, I might be out there running IndyCar for sure. But if you'd like to join, no matter from where you are in the world, if this works for you, hey, all you got to do, if you've run some IndyCar at all on the iRacing service and it's shown in your results, just feel free to send a message to Jason Lowe over on iRacing. It's Jason Lowe 4 is the username. And or if you've got a history such as Mr. Diaz Francis, who's in the chat room at the moment, if you would like to, of course, talk to Jason Lowe, and just go ahead, down below this video, you'll find in the description a link to just go ahead and apply. And season 14 going to be starting up just a few weeks from now. It's a perfect time to consider it. We've got this race in Indy to go for race number 12, and then we'll have an off week, and then it'll be right at it for season 14. Hard to believe, but there it will be. So definitely, if you're thinking about it, sign up. There is no cost, no entry fee. That could, of course, change for season 14. I don't know, but has not been yet. And I am positive if there was an entry fee, it wouldn't be very much. And there you can see Ryan Bowles having a moment just in front of our leader, Graham Bunyan. That would not have been the friendly teammate thing to do, come off that wall and wipe out your teammate who's leading the race. But Bulls continuing here, possibly with that damage from that early incident and making it difficult for him to really circulate properly. So that's part of it too. Those of you out there who are IndyCar drivers, and you know what I'm talking about, you're out there racing in a league race, you want to get the points, you want to just finish out the race, you know, have a good time. Sometimes it's just about getting your seat time in. If you sustain damage at any point in the race and you got to suffer with it, that is just, it's as hard as trying to race for first place. The car becomes unpredictable, and at many times it can be, as we see Jason Lowe, I don't know if he made it getting into the pits there. It looks like he was a little hot coming into pit lane, but we'll find out eventually. It was pretty close. Just looking at it, like speed-wise, it looked pretty close. So usually if it's quite that close, there's ways of being able to mitigate if you're over by just a couple of miles an hour. There you saw a brake lockup from Graham Bunyan as he was heading down onto pit road. And here we'll go take a look at David Strid, who should be also heading down onto pit road momentarily, but continuing on here on lap 99. So who will win this one here in Kansas? We are going to find out here in just 27 laps. It could be Bunyan, it could be Strait, it could be Lowe, and if we get a caution, it could be anyone else. Still quite a few drivers on that lead lap, although it's shuffling at the moment as the pit cycle continues. Strid, one of the last ones to come in here, the recipient of being able to just sit behind Bunyan and Lowe, and he is obviously saving a lot of fuel. Now, the one thing that this will do for David Strid, and this will make a big difference over Graham Bunyan and Jason Lowe, is the more laps he can tick off in this car, the less time it will take to fuel up that car on pit road. And at this point, it may just be a quarter of a second or a half a second that he'll be able to save. But on the track, that's everything. If that's enough to break the draft to the cars behind, that could be everything. So right now, we may indeed be watching the race be won by David Strid. He did have a little bit of a gap to make up to Lowe. So we wait to see when Strid will make that final pit stop. Iñigo Mardones now pitting from second place. And Strid continuing here, his last pit stop on lap 68. So it has been a while. And here he comes into the pits, a little bit slower than the other two. Gets it locked up, and it does appear as though he managed to get it down safely. But of course, we will have to watch and see whether or not he is assigned a penalty, as all these drivers really trying to maximize that in and out lap into the pits. So Strid taking that service, and we've got Graham Bunyan out there on the track. Let's see. Currently, he is leading Jason Lowe. And there you go with the initials on it. You can watch and see. You'll watch GB up there. And Graham Bunyan has, in fact, taken over that lead by quite a margin from David Strid. So Strid having issues and possibly slower on those two laps, and that costing him severely. He was a bit slower coming into the pits, and that could have been a problem as well. And so now this is your lead of the race. It's Graham Bunyan over Jason Lowe by just 0.2 of a second. And then we've got David Strid still trying to get him in the camera shot there. You can't quite see him. He's drifted back quite a ways. So that overcut pit strategy not working out this time. to Strid's favor. And then you can see West and Mardones in 4th and 5th. Kelbaugh hanging on there in 6th place. So we watch these two on your screen fight it out for first place. We've got about 20 laps to go. Let's go ahead and not miss anything as we go side by side here. And we get a chance to talk about our absolute favorite thing in the whole world. Why, what is it? Look there in that tool chest. Those little rings on and there on that wall. What are those sticking to those metal plates up there? Why, those blue and red and black rings on those tools and now sticking to the side of this refrigerator. Huh. Why, there must be tape there. There must be some sort of nails that have been driven in. No, I say, it's true. There are no nails. There is no glue. There is no trick photography here. In fact, those utensils, the spatula there shown on the side of that commercial oven, all of that is just being stuck on there as if by magic. Now, of course, it isn't magic, it's magnetic, but it's very similar in its properties, and it will work magic for you in your home, in your shop, in your car. It's the StickQuik, and I'm hearing from more and more people every day that are telling me that they're buying their StickQuiks at StickQuik.com. They're arriving, and it is just changing the organization of their life immediately. I know Dan Ensch was letting me know that he's using his to great effect in his house and his shop. So why aren't you yet? Well, just head on over to StickQuik.com, and you can today. You can see all of these photos and some case studies, some ideas if you need them. But immediately, as soon as you see it there, your brain should be just running a mile a minute. And as you can see, you can get them in 6 different colors. At least I think it's 6 different colors, multiple different colors. They had green, that was the color that I needed. But anything that works for your team, your household colors, there you go. You can see them all on your screen. Choose one of those, and you'll get 6 of them in a pack. And the next thing you know, you're sticking things to other things that you didn't even know you could stick them to, because it comes with these little sticky pads. So even if the thing is not made of metal, and you can't just natively stick this little StickQuik ring to it, they give you the sticky pads as well. They're reusable, and of course the StickQuik itself is made of heavy duty, reusable, and chemical resistant, weather resistant silicone. Hey, head over to StickQuik.com, pick up 1, 2, 5, 10 packs, as many as you can fit in your cart, and tell them that you saw their broadcast and their commercial here on US IndyCar League, and they will be happy to know that their sponsorship here in the US IndyCar League is working. Go back to our live picture. Of course, we didn't miss anything, and you didn't miss anything either, as Graham Bunyan continues to lead here with Jason Lowe in 2nd place. We've got 13 laps remaining. David Strid running in 3rd. He's now well off of this gap, or well off of the back of Jason Lowe, that is. 2.6 seconds, though he is closing in a hurry. So watch that space. Shown as 3.05 back to Bunyan, from Bunyan back to Strid, but Strid closing in on the back of Lowe, and so he may have something to say about that 2nd position. Meanwhile, back in 4th, this is Mike West and Iñigo Mardones fighting it out for that 4th place on the track. Mardones on the outside and West on the inside. Who will it be for 4th place today? This would be a great finish for both of these drivers, as they both had some unlucky races this season. Certainly West, this is one of the best looking positions that he's been in at the end of one of these races in quite a while. Mardones has shown so many flashes of brilliance getting up actually into the race lead at various points, having good fuel strategy, calculations, and many times able to save fuel and go just that extra lap longer than the competition. Mardones down to the inside of Mike West, and there goes Mardones up into that 4th spot. So Mardones now in 4th, and West having to play catch up here in 5th and try to stay up with that Spanish driver. So sliding back to 6th place from 3rd where he started is Richard Kelbaugh, but he's got quite a gap back behind him now to Rick Lovison. It is 8.7 seconds back to him. So a nice buffer built up around Richard Kelbaugh, and he's shown that he has had an excellent car today, very nearly top 5 pace, and he'll be happy with that. Great qualifying effort, running solid in the race, had a great battle going for quite a lot of laps with Iñigo Mardones and Mike West, able to really show that he belongs in that top group here today for sure. And how long until we'll start seeing Richard Kelbaugh up in the top 5 regularly with performances like that today? That is anyone's question. There's Rick Lovison. As I mentioned, he's up a spot from where he started. It's great to see him back in the field, series regular, now back today. And we flash forward, apologize for the camera angle there, but we flash forward to Manuel Gomez Esteban, who is in 8th place. He didn't take a qualifying time, I don't believe, today, but he did start in 12th. And he's gained 4 spots, racing for Team Mazinger and Super Mango supermarket chain there in Spain. And some other characters on there that I can't translate myself, but obviously means something to Manuel. And in the meantime, we go back up to the front, and it is Graham Bunyan who just has 0.2 of a second. It's 5 laps to go. Will it be Graham Bunyan or will it be Jason Lowe? I don't know that Jason Lowe will be able to get around. We'll have to watch and see. It's very difficult here at Kansas Speedway. And by the way, you see that red and silver car coming into the picture? Well, that is David Strid, who is slowly but surely caught up to the back of Jason Lowe. He's not quite there. We've got 4 laps to go. I don't know if he can manage to do it. We'll take a look from Strid's point of view. There it is out the front of the IR18 with his visor cam, his StickQuik.com visor cam operating today. Can he catch Jason Lowe? I don't know. I think it's just a little too far away. 1.5 seconds, the gap to get up there. Just 3 laps remaining, and in fact, that's Howard Livingston between Lowe and Strid. So Strid able to use Livingston's draft and try and catch up. Now we go on board with Jason Lowe as he stalks Graham Bunyan for this win. Bunyan has led, I think, the most laps today. And with 1 lap to go, we're going to see the white flag in the flagman's hands, and Lowe's going to give it one more shot around the outside of turn 1. It's not going to happen this time. He'll tuck back in behind, try and get that draft around the outside as Graham Bunyan hugs the inside. And as they round turn 3 and 4, I don't think anybody's going to be able to have a chance at this one besides Bunyan. It's Bunyan. Graham Bunyan makes it 2 wins in a row here and takes the Kansas 190 presented by StickQuik. Jason Lowe, a very hard-fought second. No mistakes today. Lowe earned that second place, and Strid hang on for, if I can speak right, hangs on for third, the final podium position. Great runs from Mike West, and now seeing Iñigo Mardones already jumping out of the car. Richard Kelbaugh sliding into 6th place and holding that car on the track. Great racing from these racers today, and a number of brand new finishers in the field that we have not been seeing up in the top 5. So we'll have the official results here momentarily. We got Graham Bunyan burning some donuts on the start-finish straight. So Graham Bunyan taking the win here in Kansas, no surprise. That's going to solidify this championship for sure. If it wasn't solidified before, Graham will take his 3rd straight championship and yet another win here. This will be his 7th win on the season. David Strid not quite getting up there into second. He made a valiant charge at it there at the end, but Graham just absolutely torching those Firestone Firehawks, and they take the abuse though. I tell you what, really awesome stuff from these drivers today. So we'll look forward to some driver interviews coming up momentarily here on VirtualRacing.Network. Stay tuned for that. And we'll wait for those drivers to join us in the post-race chat coming up momentarily. So stay tuned while we wait for them to head on over here into the broadcast booth. And we'll get a chance to talk with, I'm sure, Jason Lowe this week, and probably Graham Bunyan. We'd love it if David Strid would hop in here and join us occasionally for a chat, as well as he's a frequent finisher at the top of the board. And once again, hey, great to have you joining us over here in the YouTube chat. Pablo Diaz-Francis and Majek Millar, great to have you. I totally mispronounced your name, apologize for that. Make sure to get us your team info and make sure we get that up there in the results. And Will Stearns, hey, thanks for stopping in and talking with us. Appreciate it, guys and ladies. And in the meantime, we will look over and see if we can snag anybody at all that wants to get interviewed. They'll be taking a break, I'm sure, for just a moment, as that was a tight finish. We'll take a look back just a moment ago. So this was, let's see here. This was Mike West passing Iñigo Mardones for P4 on the track. This is how it went down. Mike West going sailing by Iñigo Mardones, managing to take that 4th spot. And here was how Jason Lowe, of course, got by David Strid. As Strid was in the pits, he took over 2nd place and then set his sights on Graham Bunyan, who would rejoin the track just in front. And unfortunately, even though he was able to catch up, Lowe not quite able to get that pass done for 1st place. And that, of course, gave over the victory to Graham Bunyan, who was able to defend. So let's go ahead and check and see if we can grab a couple of these drivers now. And yes, it does. In fact, I believe I see Jason Lowe now joining us in the broadcast booth. Hey, Jason, do you have me here on VirtualRacing.Network?
Yeah, loud and clear, Trevor.
All right. Well, and we'll make sure we get your level loud and clear as well. Hey, Jason, awesome stuff today. I mean, we're watching you come up through the field there a little bit, and you managed to climb 2 spots from where you started, and you look like the Jason Lowe of old. I mean, you were right there all day. You had that fuchsia car right there ready to attack, and you managed to come home with 2nd place. Congratulations, and what a great finish for you here.
Yeah, I came into Kansas not hoping for too much. I'm not very good at this track for some reason. I've hit the wall on a turn 4 more times than I can count. So, really was thinking about being consistent, not doing anything dumb. I might have run out of dumb things to do this season. I think I've done them all already, so that might be that reason. But yeah, Graham did what he needed to do. It's really important to hold the bottom here. It's really tough to pass around the outside. I was trying to conserve my right front tire there at the end of the race so I could maybe get a run off of turn 3, and I just didn't have enough. He was smart, and him and David Strid are both extremely smart racers. I was fortunate to get in and out of the pits okay today. Getting into the pits here is a little bit tough for me, but got in. Sorry that Howard Livingston had some internet problems due to weather in his area. Him and I are still kind of battling for third spot. I think he's got it, but it's going to really probably come down to next week. So congratulations to Graham for a great run. Congratulations to David, Mike West, and Iñigo in the top 5. Good caution-free day for the US IndyCar League, presented by StickQuik.
You bet it was, and we did mention that. We try to mention that anytime just because of how rare that is to ever see any of these races in other leagues or the official series ever go caution-free, but giving a great chance to see all the strategy play out and pits, green flag pit stop strategies. How did that work for you today? Were you trying to stretch the fuel? Were you what kind of game were you playing? I know you were up there in the front, and then there's not much room to get around. So were you trying to think of fuel strategy to get yourself around, short fuel, not take tires? What was the plan?
I did experiment with saving some fuel early on, and then crunching the numbers in my head, which is a scary thought. But I just didn't see it happening. So toward the end, I was just doing the how early can I stop and still finish the race deal. Mm-hmm. You could get about 32 and a half laps in clean air on a tank. And with any type of draft at all, that went up from there. So when I saw the window with 31 to go, I went ahead and ducked into the pits. It did turn out to be the right call because I made up a little time on Graham and made time on David Stritt on his pit stop. So I made the right decision, but Graham is just so good, both on the track and getting in and out of the pits. I mean, it's just, you make a 10th here, he takes the 10th back. So always honored to race with him and give him some competition if he considers me that. But I was right there with him at the end, and I'm happy about that. Glad to come home in second place.
Absolutely. And you did come home in second, and again, you stuck in there, and that's kind of what we thought we'd see from you all season, but it's great to have you there and making up this great podium between yourself and fellow champion Graham Bunyan and David Stritt, who doesn't yet have a championship, but I mean, I think we all agree he's got the speed and talent to be there next season. So we're looking ahead at season 14, Jason. Before we get to our winner here today, Graham Bunyan, this is the perfect time. Anybody who wants to get involved, we had couple of great IndyCar drivers join us over in the chat, including Pablo Diaz-Frances. Now we know, if anybody wants to get involved, this is the time to do it, right? Just click through that link and head on over and submit your application to join the US IndyCar League.
Yeah, we've actually had a few really promising looking members join in the past couple weeks, looking forward to next season. Hopefully we see one or two of them for the last race next week. Then we will take a week off before the next season starts. We traditionally take 1 week off. We usually do some type of goofy fun race. I'm thinking maybe Formula V's or something like that if we have one. So just thanks to all the league members, a bunch of great guys. Really appreciate them, appreciate StickQuik support. And once again, congratulations to Graham, both on his race win today and his season championship.
Absolutely. Well, there's Series League Administrator Jason Lowe and also front runner, 3-time champion Jason Lowe joining us from second place. His finish here today at the Kansas 190 presented by StickQuik. Jason, congratulations. Good luck with your final race of the season at Indy. So
thank you very much.
And indeed, thank you. So that was Jason Lowe. And so now we'll get a chance to talk with everyone's favorite I was going to say favorite Australian, but everyone's favorite winner from this season. It's Graham Bunyan joining us fresh out of victory lane and wiping the champagne, I'm sure, off of his brow. Hey, Graham, great to have you here on VirtualRacing.Network, and congratulations yet again. Made it a couple of times in a row here to be in victory lane, and I think you've unofficially cemented that third championship to tie Jason Lowe with that mark. Congratulations.
Thanks, Trevor, and g'day. And yeah, look, I think Jason sort of unofficially said it, I think. But look, great race. And first of all, I want to say a speedy recovery to Dan. It's got to suck being injured. I know what it's like.
Indeed. Yeah, he, I mean, I didn't want to divulge too many of the details, but he kind of had a little bit of a slip and tore some stuff up. So, yeah, it's, he was racing under the weather for sure. But then we had, like, Jason Lowe, who was driving with an eye patch, and he had to, like, tape his eye open for one of the races. We've had some different members drop out due to sickness and stuff. I mean, every driver, it seems like, has gone through something over the course of this season or last season, but great to have this group, you know, here in this league. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that, what it's like to race with these same drivers and, you know, have it be such a great group that it went totally caution free today. And how does that affect your race when you're trying to win one of these things?
Yeah, look, it definitely becomes a strategy game. It's you've got to work out when to play it safe and then when to be conservative and hold a line. And yeah, it makes it tough. But look, I've been around here for since the beginning, and then I had a few years off and then come back again. And you know, it's been the same guys in and out, and a fair few other new drivers coming and going. And it's been good. And again, I say it every week. Everybody is improving every week, every day they improve. And look, Jason's definitely there. He's just had, you know, bad luck. I think we have a saying here in Australia. I think he ran over a bunch of Chinamen, which is bad luck. So, yeah, crazy stuff. But no, look, it's good. And Dave got a third there as well, and Mike West up there in fourth place, and Howard had a dropout. Unfortunately, he's got some storms going through Florida there. So, yeah, things just sort of fell my way. It was good. Had good pit-ins, pit-outs, and yeah, it was good.
Well, it looked like early on, when you didn't know that Jason Lowe was going to join the party, it looked like you and David Strid were starting to take off. Then Bowles kind of came along, started to give you a little bit of a challenge, and right about that time, he started to fall back, and Jason Lowe came up there to challenge you guys. Did it affect your plan here today? Were you planning to just kind of run nose to tail with Strid and maybe save some fuel, draft swap, and then when Lowe gets into the picture, now you've got to kind of change some things up? Did that affect it, or was it pretty much the plan that you would just be running at the front and somebody might get in the middle of it, and we'll just have to deal with that as it comes about?
Yeah, no, it changed things around a bit. At the stage there when Jason was sort of a little bit further back, at the start, Dave was leading and I was just sitting there saving fuel, and that was sort of the plan, to save fuel and then hopefully get past. But I had to sort of get past David a little bit earlier to get him to save as well. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made it to that crucial lap 32.
Well, you managed to hold on, and of course, David he tried to overcut, I think, everybody, and that did not work out to his best benefit. It did look like he was a bit slower than you both entering the pits, but I don't know exactly where all that time went away from. Nevertheless, he found himself a few seconds back and then had to work his way back up to the back of Jason Lowe. Otherwise, he might have been a part of that fight there at the end. But nevertheless, this week, yet again, showing that you're the cream of the crop, and left over at the end, the cream rises to the top, and there you are in the lead with Jason Lowe behind, and of course you defended so excellently. So was that the plan there at the end, just to not let Jason Lowe have that bottom line and make him try to earn it around the top side?
Oh yeah, definitely. It was definitely, I moved out a couple of times just to see what his intentions were. He did move down a couple of times, so I knew what he was trying to line up there. So it was just a matter of covering that bottom line. I think I had the same issue last season as well. I think Mike West won that one on a fuel strategy, but he ran a Dan fuel race. Yeah, definitely cover that bottom line. I like the high line around this track, because I'm just a little bit disappointed it wasn't a high line race towards the end, but it was good. Liked it.
Well, you once again proved why you were the two-time champ and now the three-time champ. We'll just go ahead and call it. And congratulations on that. Of course, there'll be much more after the next race when we can, get the trophy in the air. But Graham, you're continuing to have fun out there. That's the main thing, but you're also executing extremely high level and really serving as the benchmark for all these drivers, even David Strid, to try to match that level. We wait for the day when someone can do it on the regular basis, but it's such a pleasure to have you out here every Sunday executing at such a high level for all of us to watch. Thank you so much, Grant, for being a part of the US IndyCar League. And again, congratulations on your 3rd consecutive championship.
Look, I just say thank you to the US IndyCar League for allowing me to run here week in, week out. You know, it's good to represent international. So yeah, no, it's good, and hopefully get a few more Australians or New Zealanders along. I don't know. New Zealanders, I tell you.
Oh boy, then you'd have your hands full with New Zealanders, because you look at Scott Dixon and the history. I watch a lot of sailboat racing, and boy, you can never have a Kiwi or an Aussie enter into a sailboat race without them just like dominating the front of that race. You guys will have your hands full for sure. But yes, of course, adding to the great list of champions. Of course, Will Power being most recent from Australia, and now Graham Bunyan part of that list. So, hey, next week it'll be Indy. It's a special race. Maybe you've won the championship, but still a great race. It'll be a special one here on VirtualRacing.Network, of course, for the Care Camps organization. We'll get a chance to talk more about them and what they do. But hey, Graham, it'll be special to try to win there at Indy as well, right?
Oh, for sure. It's always about finishing the best you can finish, and if I can pull off a win there, I'll gladly take it. But I don't want to wreck anybody else's race either. There's still a bit of a race going on, I think, between 3rd there. So you know that could change next week as well. So don't want to interfere with those guys. I think myself and I think David may have 2nd tied up. So.
Indeed, it does look like 1st and 2nd are tied up. 3rd may be questionable, just depends on where things end up after today and Howard having the connection issues that he did. But still definitely some more positions to fight for, 4th, 5th, 6th. None of that has been tied up at all, and we'll go into that 12th and final race. And then, hey, Graham, we do need to get some more Aussies and Kiwis out there. Love to see drivers from all over the world enter, and they can take you on next season, season 14. They just got to head on over, as we've been talking about with Jason Lowe. Just head on over and apply. We'll get you in there. And in the meantime, Graham, we'll let you get off to what you got to do. It's like, what time is it even there? It's like 3 in the morning?
It's actually 2:30 in the morning for me and 3:30 in the morning for Dave.
My goodness. Well, we appreciate you staying up so late. I know you've got a lot of work to do in your line of business, so I'll let you get back to that. In the meantime, have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you next week at Indy, bud.
Mate, no worries at all. Thank you, Trevor. Thanks for everything you do, mate. And again, thank you to StickQuik for putting this on all the time. Well done.
Absolutely. StickQuik, getting it done in the shop and in the house, and Graham Bunyan getting it done on the track. Graham Bunyan, your winner here at the Kansas 190, presented by StickQuik, and there you see him doing the donuts on the screen. We'll let him get off to his week, and in the meantime, as you saw there on the screen, we will be visiting Indy next week for the Care Camps 250 at Indy. Make sure you show up for that one. It'll be special, same time, same channel. Make sure to subscribe to VirtualRacing.Network if you aren't already, and like this video. You'll get more of them in your feed, and who doesn't want more Indy cars in their feed? We still got another couple of weeks until the real-life Indy cars head out there on the track, but next week we've got an IndyCar race right here at VirtualRacing.Network. So until then, I'm Trevor Greenfield on behalf of all of the competitors here in the US IndyCar League. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. So until then, bye-bye, everybody.